Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start with the story in which the evil granny got what she deserved. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Nada took the boat, but my uncle sabotaged it. This is a story about my step-great-grandmother, Nada. I recently found out another part of the story from my mother. After my great-grandfather passed away, she tried to sue my family for everything and lost, but somehow still got my great-grandfather's fishing boat in the lawsuit. My uncle exploited a technicality that the boat's outboard engine was not included in the deal because it technically wasn't an original part of the boat, so he ripped it off before Nada came for it, and it's been sitting in a shop ever since. The part I didn't know until recently was that my uncle also sabotaged the boat by making holes in the underside so it'd start to sink once in the water. And apparently he made the holes look like they had been caused by rock damage, like it hit jagged stones. Nada would have had to pay someone to fix it, as only an aluminum welder could close those holes, or she would just have to have sold the boat in its damaged state, which left it nearly worthless. We don't know what she did with it, but it likely cost her either way. And our next story. I did what my mom told me to do and got revenge. So just some backstory here. My parents divorced when I was just in kindergarten, so no more than 6. My mom got full custody of us and she suffered from mental illness. I believe she has borderline personality disorder, and she was also a typical narcissistic parent. Anyway, ever since the divorce, she would always tell us how it wasn't her fault we didn't have enough money for things and blame my dad. Example, if there was nothing to eat for breakfast, and we complained like small children do when they were hungry, she snapped. "It's your father's fault, so cry to him." It sounds bizarre, but we thought that was normal, as well as being hit and told on a daily basis that we were worthless. My grandma died a few months before that summer, and my mom quit her job and blew through the money my grandma left her before the summer was over. This was close to $75K back in 2000. She refused to get another job and kept coming up with excuses not to work, i.e., I need a break, get off my back, I hurt my leg, etc., while she was going out drinking with her friends and acting like a carefree teenager. If I brought up the fact that my dad sent her child support, she would just complain that she had my sister's tuition, which I later learned was BS. She would flaunt that child support check and laugh and refer to it as mommy's paycheck. Flash forward to when I was about to choose a college and my mom kept bellyaching about the costs and of course had zero saved in a college fund. I couldn't afford a private university since I was only offered a partial scholarship, so I decided to go to a reasonably priced and still highly regarded state university. My freshman year, I was pretty much able to swing the cost of tuition and room and board. I lived on campus. Since last year of high school, I filed my taxes and FAFSA as soon as my W-2s came in, so I had a decent amount of grants. During my first year of college, I almost became unable to receive financial aid for my second year of college. Why? My W-2s were mailed to my home address, and my mom, being the caring and supportive mother she was, shredded them and threw them in the trash. At this point, I learned that my mom had not been helping out my sister at all with tuition like she claimed, and my sister had mentioned it to my dad, who'd called her out and demanded to know where the child support was going. My mom insisted he wasn't paying her enough dollars, and that's why she couldn't help us out. During my second year of college, my W-2s were once again sent home, and my mom once again accidentally threw them in the trash. I had to request duplicate W-2s from my summer job not just once but twice because she kept throwing them in the trash. I filed my tax return late that year, and as a result, my FAFSA was filed late, so I wasn't able to get the full amount I was receiving before. Anytime I complained to her about money or no food in the house, it was, "Complain to your father." Well, the summer before my third year, I was burned out on my mom's BS. I was working full-time for the summer and saving as much as I could, but she was refusing to help me out at all while I was home with food or anything. She was PO'd that instead of paying the phone bill so she could make long-distance calls to her online friends and spend all day in chat rooms, this was back when we had dial-up, I had the audacity to spend my hard-earned money on a cell phone and pay that bill myself. She told everyone I should just drop out because I wouldn't apply myself hard enough. I was in the honors program, and she would play martyr with all her friends about it's so hard when you have kids in college and they eat you out of house and home and come to you for money. At the end of the summer, I'd saved $1,000, but the school wouldn't let me move into the dorm unless I paid 50% up front, which was about $10K. I didn't know what to do, as all summer the university had told me I was fine, then on move-in day told me I couldn't move into the dorm. I called my dad in a panic, and he spoke to someone who agreed to give me 24 hours. I moved in, and the next day my dad showed up first thing with a coffee and a donut for me and told me not to worry. He was going to fix this once and for all. We went from office to office on campus, and he co-signed a loan, which he later paid off for me. Then he paid the balance on my tuition for the loan didn't cover. He then took me out to lunch and told me the truth. My mom never helped my sister with her tuition. My sister had graduated the summer before my junior year of college. My sister later confirmed this, but was not surprised my mom had lied. My dad had co-signed a loan to help my sister out, which he later paid off for her, and my sister was able to get a scholarship and do co-op to pay her last 2 years. He also advised me that my mom was not so poorly off. As part of the divorce settlement, he had to pay the mortgage and the property taxes on her house, and even though my sister was now out on her own, he was still paying her the same amount of child support of about $2K a month, despite the fact that I was living on campus for 75% of the year. And my mom has not given me a dime. Just to give you some clarification, my tuition and room and board before financial aid was $15K a year, so she could have easily helped me out with school, since after financial aid kicked in, when I was able to get it, the balance was usually $6K. I was hurt to think my mom was just living off my child support and constantly making me feel guilty for wanting anything or for not being able to cater to her every whim. He asked me to grant him access to my account so he could prove my mom was not paying for college and that I was. He asked me how I'd feel if he took care of college instead of paying my mom child support. Sounded good to me. He even told me I could spend my breaks at his house instead of my mom's. I called my mom and told her that my dad had taken care of the issue and she had no remorse. She told me it was my own fault for not planning my finances better and for peeing away my money all summer. I just played it dumb and said she was right, but pointed out I'd done what she told me to do and complained to my dad. A month later, my mom called me up PO'd. My dad had spoken with the courts, and there was going to be a hearing in their divorce case. My dad had proven that my mom had not been paying for mine nor my sister's tuition for college, and that was the very reason my dad was obligated to pay child support till I was done with college. Since I was living on campus, it didn't make sense to pay child support when I was not living at home most of the year, and she hadn't given me one penny. My dad told the judge he would gladly pay for me to finish college, but was not going to pay my mom any more child support or pay the mortgage on the house. If my mom didn't want to take over the mortgage, they could sell the house and I could live with him over my breaks. My mom was freaking out over this and calling me selfish. I just reminded her that my tuition must cost a lot more than what she got in child support since she was never able to help me with the cost of school. She just kept laying guilt trips on me about how I was selfish because she didn't get to go to college right after high school and how she never got to have 4 carefree years of college. I pointed out to her that she had not worked since my grandma died about 3 years ago, and that I was working and going to school at that time while she got to go live a carefree life. She pretty much ripped me a new one at that point. She tried to get back at my dad by not paying utilities on the house to make it seem like she needed the money. She then told me that the electric and water were now shut off, so if I wanted to come home for winter break, I needed to help her out. She'd moved in with her boyfriend at his condo. I just told her I'd miss her, but that I'd go to my dad's for winter break. She was pissed and cried about how selfish I was for not wanting to come home for Christmas. So she took all of my things, threw them in boxes, and threw them out on the front lawn. Most of my things were destroyed by being left in the rain, and I threw away most of them. I told my mom that I'd come home and visit her over my winter break once she got the utilities turned on. I told my dad what was going on, and he called my mom and reminded her that the child support had not stopped, and they were going to list the house in a few months. So what was this nonsense about the utilities being shut off? She was pissed, but magically came up with the money to turn them back on. That spring, my dad, officially by the court, took over my college tuition, and he even made sure I got my full financial aid since he'd picked up W-2s for me. My mom lost her child support and was told by the judge that she better cooperate with the sale of the house and keep up with the utility bills so it would sell. Her boyfriend moved in with her till the house sold, and she moved to another time zone. The real kicker? It was cheaper for my dad to pay college costs than to pay her child support. To summarize, my mom abused and exploited me, and I got my revenge by causing her to lose her child support and free rent by doing what she told me to do for years. Complain to my father. No regrets. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.